Good afternoon, friends, family, colleagues, supportive strangers. Welcome to my channel if you've never been here before. If you have been here, welcome back. As always, allergies, can't help it. But this is where we talk about big life-changing events. This round is layoff. So for those who don't know, 3 months shy of my 20-year anniversary at my employer, I was laid off. So now I'm sharing the process of looking for a new job, all of the things that need to be considered in making the transition. I am fortunate enough to have the assistance of a career transition coach paid for by my former employer. And speaking of, you will notice if you've been here to my channel since I have the shelves up, that I have changed the background and removed any sign of anything that could indicate where I was working. This is out of respect for the employer. I want to reiterate that they were very good to me, and I am not here to disparage my employer in any way. I'm just here to talk about my journey. So I did update my background a little bit. So I'll tell you a little bit about it. Up on top is a folder, a couple of photographs. My partner and I had taken on a trip that we took several years ago. We took a little evening bay cruise out of Miami. And so you can't see it really well, but on that side is the boat we were on, and then a picture of us together, which is kind of cut off, and that's okay. However, I did put that up. Below that is my bridal bouquet my maid of honor bouquet from a wedding I was in back in March. And then the 15-year sculpture is still from my previous company, but I don't think you can see any indication of who they are. And then is this I want to share because this piece is very special to me. This was a doorknob, a glass doorknob from a home my great-grandmother owned in the very early 20th century. And my grandmother was the third of 4 daughters, and she ended up with the doorknob, and eventually I inherited it when my grandmother passed away. So I've actually had that for quite some time now, but it's so pretty. And Grandma always said that her mom wanted to have it set in maple, but Grandma never got around to doing that. I've gone back and forth about just leaving it in the glass that my grandmother had it set in, or switching it to a maple in honor of Grandma Roxy. But, I guess there's no hurry. So I'm just hanging on to it till I decide to or not to do something with it. And so that's what's new here. The job search. So where I'm at on that, oh, excuse me. The job search. My job search has been, I'm trying to keep it organized, but it's been a little, I don't know, enlightening and frustrating. Definitely requiring some patience. For those of us of a certain age, we remember a time when oh my gosh, excuse me. We remember a time when we were able to just walk into someplace, ask to speak to the hiring manager, or even just ask for a job application, fill it out on site. Someone may or may not speak to you, and you could potentially walk out with the job. That is not the real world anymore. I remember, being able to just take my resume, walk around town, drop it off at any office or job that I was interested in. So now that's, again, not how it works. The job that I just left, I was 3 weeks from application to first day on the job. It was easy. I mean, not easy, but easy compared to what we're dealing with now. You'd submit your resume. I might have applied online, but I had a referral from a friend, so that got me in a little bit easier. But I had my first interview. My second interview was hired and on site within 3 weeks. So my career coach told me not to expect anything sooner than 3 months. She said occasionally she has someone that's employed within a week or two, but it's very rare. Some people, depending on how niche their profession is, might, take longer. She told me on average, it takes about 90 days. For most people, 90 days is an awful long time to wait. In the meantime, if you didn't get a severance, you're getting behind on your rent or mortgage. You're getting behind on your other bills. It can be really tough. She also told me networking is key. That past a certain age, most of our jobs come from referrals or connections. and networking, who we know, which kind of reminded me of that saying I used to hear a lot when I was a kid. And we'd hear people talking, they'd say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, I think we're back to that a little bit. It's not always about merit. It is very much about what kind of connections you have, who's hiring, who knows who's hiring, who can put in a referral for you, and all of those kinds of things. It's also uh, it's just a very different world than some of us were used to. I've never taken this long to get a job, and I am 1 month and a couple of days out. I was laid off on the 2nd of July, and we are now to the 4th of August. So the job search itself, I have found important to stay organized. I know I mentioned this in previous in previous updates. We definitely need to stay organized. The unemployment office wants you to keep your records for 3 years of the jobs you applied to, what date, what kind of job it was. They have the right to audit your job search for fraud for up to 3 years. So I know I mentioned this before as well. I keep my spreadsheet. Some people are more comfortable with a physical file system. Whatever you find works for you, do it. Just stay organized and keep all of your documentation of where you applied, when, what site you used, if you applied on the employer's site. I've been doing both of those things, using both my employer's site, or the employer's site and the job search sites. I have had 2 phone screenings. I'm supposed to have some sort of session today. But she never sent me the link to join. So I don't know what is actually going to be happening with that. I'm prepared to show up and have a conversation. And then if it doesn't happen, okay, it doesn't happen. Last Thursday, I did go to a job fair. That was very enlightening. So, in the last few days, I've learned well, at the job fair, I learned about some interesting jobs that I didn't know existed, or if I did know they existed, they were, in the back of the mind, very out of the box for what kind of work I'm used to doing. So I did, I did pick up some information to go do additional research on a couple of jobs. There were a lot of jobs that were not great paying. Most of the jobs were very entry level. And if that's where you are in your career, or you don't mind taking a step back, some of the jobs were actually a little interesting. There was a school district that was accepting applications for everything from preschool teachers to office administrators, and even certified classroom teachers, the range. There was a law enforcement agency who was promoting evidence management, and they didn't have the information there, but they did also mention crime scene investigation. I was super interested in that until, personal conversations, and we started talking about what's actually involved. the on the on-call schedule, the lack of controlled work environment, and by that I mean you never know if you're going to be called to someone's home where they don't have air conditioning, or if you're going to be out in the desert somewhere in the summer heat. There's just too many variables. The pay looked decent, but at the end of the day, on a practical level, it just wouldn't be a good fit for me, as interesting and fascinating as I think I would find the work. So the other thing I learned is that a lot of the jobs, up to 30% or more of job postings, are actually fake. So I watched a podcast that talked about this, and they're calling them ghost jobs. So what happens is employers will just put job postings up to create an interest, even if they're not actually hiring for those positions, just to generate interest in their company and make it look like they're contributing to job creation. That was new information to me. It doesn't surprise me, but it does. And I find it upsetting. I don't think it should be allowed myself. If you post a job, that job should be available. That's all there is to it. However, not always the case. So, Cobra. Good news on the Cobra front. I think I also mentioned in my last update that I wasn't sure if I needed to pay something because I got some paperwork. The company had promised to pay for Cobra, but the paperwork wanted me to pay for something. Well, I actually spoke with them. My company did pay for it for 3 months as promised. Once that expires, I have the option to continue at my own cost. That cost is pretty high. For me, it would be about $1,000 a month. I'm going to make the most of maintaining my health care, vision and dental, and all those things while I have it, because I will not be paying $1,000 a month. I just, if I don't have employment by then, that's kind of expensive for me. Some people, that might be within, within range. For me, I just don't feel like it would be the best use of my resources. So I will hopefully, by that time or shortly thereafter, have something with benefits and paid time off and insurance like I'm used to having. So putting it out there, let the universe have it that I want I want good benefits. So that is pretty much all there is to my update today. If you joined me, thank you for listening. Thanks for putting up with my allergy attack. And I do hope to see you in the next one. I expect I will probably go live again later today to talk about whatever this hiring event is that I'm scheduled for today, whether or not I go, and maybe talk about some other things. No guarantee, but it is in the realm of possibility that I'll be back online later. So in the meantime, stay blessed, have a fabulous day, and I will see you in the next one. Oh.